Genesis, chapter number 45. Chapter 45, Genesis chapter 45. Genesis chapter 45, verse 1. We'll specifically look at verse number 1. I'll bring kind of the story all together and sum it up. About Joseph. You have a sign for Joseph? Joseph, the dreamer. I've seen Joseph. Coat in many colors. Also, there's a guy by the name of Judah. Who is Judah? He's a brother of Joseph. He's the brother of Joseph. His name is Judah. Joseph is number 11 as far as the birth order. Judah is number 4 in the birth order. There are 12 boys. Do you have a sign for Judah? Let's read the verse that I have. We'll pray and then, the Bible says, then, that's an important word, then. Many times we see the word then and we just kind of keep going. But you need to understand this verse, you must understand all of the story beforehand. And then, what's coming afterwards? Because of the story that's led up to this word then leads us to what's happening now. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all of them that stood by him. And he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known to his brother. Let's pray. Father, I'm thankful for your word, the Bible. We need you today. We need to see you today. Not me. It's not my way, not my sign style. It's you. God, you're good. Thank you. I pray that you'll hide me behind the cross. And as others look at me, they'll see you and they'll see the cross. You are the King of Kings. Lord, teach us and teach me. Many times it's easy for me to choose this sign language in my mind, but be with me. Lord, I pray that as we meet you this morning, be with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. How many of you recently have been looking about Queen Elizabeth? She died. Did you see the funeral? You see that? Now, the whole world knows knows who this queen was. For me, when I was in Australia, the government, I mean, she was my queen. Because Australia is still under the authority of Britain. It's still called a Commonwealth. It means it's still in control. Honestly, truly, it's a true story about the Queen herself. One day, in Scotland, not in England, she was in Scotland, she was in the north, but she died there in the castle, Balmoral. She was very skilled at writing, and she loved to walk. She always had bodyguards with her, of course, always, just like the president. The president here has many bodyguards, like motorcades and everything. The Queen now, she just has one, so now just one. When out in public, yeah, sure, she'll have a lot, but when she's alone, she just loves to walk. One day she was walking with the bodyguard. She didn't have her crown on or anything, just like a normal attire. And she was walking up the hill behind her home. And it happened that there were two Americans that happened to walk by on the path. And they met. Oh, hello there. How are you? Australian sign, we sign this way. How are you? Oh, good. And the four of them started talking together. The two Americans said, oh, I heard the Queen lives here, somewhere around here. Are you from here? And the Queen said, yeah, I live just over the way. Yeah, I live just on the other side of the hill. Oh, have you seen the Queen? The Queen answered, said, no, but this guy, he's seen the Queen many times. And they said, oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, okay. The two Americans were all, excited. Oh, yeah, they'd like to take a picture with this guy. So pulled out the phone and camera, asked the Queen, said, hey, can you take a picture of us? This other guy, I'll show this other guy who went on friends, and the Queen said, sure. Takes a picture, gives it back to him. And the bodyguard didn't say anything. He was kind of standing there, said nothing. And then said, oh, maybe you need to have a picture of all four of us together. Okay, sure. The American said, okay, sure. So the Queen got in the picture, and they took a picture, and a selfie stick and all that. All right, cool. All right, bye-bye. Okay, bye-bye. And they started going their way. And the Queen said, I wonder, when they get back to America, when they show their friends the picture, will they figure out who I am? How would you feel if you were to happen to meet the Queen and didn't know who she was? That's exactly what had happened in this story. This brother named Joseph, when you read the story, if you go back to chapter number 37, we start the story of Joseph. We see Joseph as a 17-year-old boy. He obeyed his father. He did well. He had dreams. He told his father about the dreams and really did not make his brothers happy. They hated him. Oh, they called him a dreamer. Oh, he's the youngest. We're all older than him. It's interesting when you read the story, chapter 37, what happens to Joseph as he leaves the father with the coat of many colors. It's easy to see him, from far. And the brothers said, oh, here he comes. Here comes Joseph, the dreamer. As you study the Bible, God honors men, but also God shows the sin of people. Joseph's father, his name is Jacob. He had a sin problem. He had a sin problem. He had a favorite son, and he showed that favoritism. The older brothers, of course, they had normal clothes. But this boy, Joseph, number 11, he was the favorite. He had a different colored coat. When Joseph had that coat, everybody could see him. Everyone knew who he was. Kind of like the queen. She puts that crown on and that royal sash. They know her. But as she walked alone, she looked like a normal old lady. Just like you and I. We find Judah, this fourth-born boy, as we read chapter 37, he had made a plan to capture Joseph and to sell him. That was Judah's plan. Yes, the other brothers were involved, but the Bible mentions and names Judah as this one who came up with the plan. Now, you have these boys in the Bible that are important. The order is important. When you watch the funeral, the queen's funeral, you notice behind this car you have the new king to the right, and then the sister, and then the brother, and then the brother. If you notice, if you carefully look, you have the king is always the one step ahead of the others. Why? Because the order is important. The person behind the king, the next step back, William. If the king were to die, it would be his. Because of the order. Now, if you study the Bible, the order is very important. First, this first boy's name is Reuben. He's the oldest. It's sad. He had a sin problem as well. He had slept with women that he shouldn't have slept with. These next two were murderers. They killed many people because they were trying to protect their sister, Dinah. But this fourth, Judah, he also had sin. Chapter 37 talks about that. The decision that he makes to plan against Joseph. But this order is important because these other three boys also had another three boys after them. And they were wicked men. Then God killed him. And then you have the third who died. But the wife's name was Tamar. Sorry. The first one died. The first son of Judah died. The second son of Judah died. And then the third son was old enough to get married to Tamar. He was promised to her, but Judah didn't give her to him. But then later found out that Judah, unfortunately, had slept with Tamar and gotten her pregnant. Doesn't really sound like a great story, does it? It's not really a great family. But Joseph knew all these things. Joseph was a good person. He had good character. Did he sin when he was put in the pit and then taken and sold into slavery? Was it his fault? No, not particularly. Sin, though, doesn't matter who is doing the sin, it impacts other people. The sin that we have will impact other people. Joseph didn't sin, but Judah, his sin, because of his sin, led to the slavery of Joseph. It's not fair. No, it's not. Many people complain and say, oh, it's not fair. It's not fair. I've done nothing wrong. I've obeyed my father. I've done everything. I come here to help my brothers. And Joseph could have easily said this, Now I'm enslaved. He went to work under a man by the name of Potiphar. Do you know the story? Potiphar? I'm going to sum it up real quick. He worked under this man named Potiphar, and God blessed Potiphar greatly. And one day, the wife of Potiphar said, oh, I've got my eye on him. I'd like to lay with him. One day, they were, happened to be in the same house. Joseph was working, and she grabs him. Come lay with me. And Joseph says, get away from me. He takes off. And as he takes off, this wife grabs his coat and pulls it. The Bible says that she held on to the coat. Oh, I'm going to show my husband. Wait till my husband gets home and show him the coat. And she tells this story and about, he tried to rape me. And Joseph just stands there. Husband gets upset with Joseph, takes him, puts him in jail. Was he guilty? Nope. Was it fair? Then he had, these dreams that happened to two men. And the men, the baker and the butler, they come to the jail there one day. They have this dream, and they're all sad, they're depressed. Joseph says, is serving there in the jail and say, what's going on? You guys look sad. What's wrong? What's up? They explain the situation, and Joseph says, I'll pray, and God will tell me, give you the wisdom to tell you what to do, and explain your dreams. And they said, okay, yeah, you are going to be taken, you're going to work again. You're going to work under the king, and you're going to do well. The other guy, sorry to say, you're going to be hung. Yeah, and it happened. And when it happened, the man, he said, oh, remember me. I'm not guilty. I'm innocent here. When you get back to the king, I'm in suffering. You get back to the king, you tell him. He said, okay, yeah. But you know the story, what happened. He forgot. He's still in the prison, still suffering. Then you get the king has this dream. He didn't know what it meant 2 times. There was 2 dreams. And this butler says, sir, I remember when I was in jail, you put me there, there was a guy over there, and he could interpret my dream. I forgot about him. I'm real sorry about that, but he could probably tell you what your dream is. He probably knows what it means. Bring him on in. So here comes, he hadn't shaved most likely, probably, he probably wasn't ready to face the king. He was brought in to the Pharaoh, that Egyptian, that means the king. We call him Pharaoh. So he comes in and says, tell me what my dream is. And Joseph says, okay, you've had 2 dreams. And it's going to happen. There's going to be 7 years of plenty of food. And then 7 years is going to be famine. You need to save up some money and store it away because the 7 years is going to get bad. It's going to be terrible. Many people have the skills and finances, but there's no one like this guy. Hey, I want him to be my number 2. I want him to give him the cloak, give him the ring, give him the signet. I help him to plan for the next 14 years. I'm going to sit on the throne, but when I'm not here, he's in charge. Everyone good? Everyone understand? Yes, sir. All right. Now, sure enough, 7 years, they're good. Joseph stores it away, puts it in the storehouses. They had chariots and all these things. People bowed to him. He was the top guy. And then it stopped being good. And then the bad times came. The first year, food started running out. Open that storehouse. Open up that one. Second year, people started coming from other countries. They ran out of their food. They want more food. They don't have any food. All right, let me get some money from you. They brought their money. Egyptian people became wealthy. That's why God really blessed it for this many years. One day he notices 10 boys coming up. He goes, these are my brothers. I know them. These brothers get in front of him, they bow down to him. We need to buy bread. And Joseph's thinking, they don't know who I am. They do not recognize me. He's the king. He's their brother. Okay. You're spies. No, we're not. We're not spies. Yes, you are. You're spies. Open up this pack. Open up. Sure enough, they put this one in jail. We see what happened. Joseph was in jail. And he heard. It wasn't our fault. Why did left him in his room. time. I'm going to let you go. We're going to eat. Bring him out. The servant brought him out. The youngest boy that they brought, give him double. Give him a lot of food. He's thin, he's skinny boy, he needs it. Okay, all right. So they're all sitting there at the banquet table. They need to go home. What's going on with your father? You haven't told me about your father. Tell me what's going on with your father. You had a younger brother. His name is Benjamin, right? I want you to bring Benjamin here. So they went home, got their father, or told their father what's going on. They said, Dad, you have to bring Benjamin. We're going to go back. And the father said, no. Jacob says, no. The last time I gave you my youngest boy, Joseph, he never came back. You see the coat? I still kept the coat. It's got the animal blood still on it. Or I thought it was his blood. They lied to their father. They told him that Joseph died. Gave him the coat, blood on it. But it's interesting. The father's choice. He chose Judah to be the representative of the family. Not Reuben. Not these two. This one. Why this one? He was a sinner too. If you go back to chapter 38, you find that when Tamar, do you remember Tamar? She said, I have your coat, I have your ring, Judah. I have your bracelet. The man who lay with me, I have his things. Judah planned to kill her because she was pregnant. But who was guilty as well? Judah himself. The Bible says something interesting about Judah. He said, he stopped that killing. And he said, that woman is more righteous than I. And he announces it. It's interesting that after that story, chapter 38, there is nothing negative about God regarding the man of Judah. Nothing. Not one negative statement. He had sin, planned to get rid of his brother, planned to get with Tamar, but the repentance was there. The sin was confessed. I am guilty. The other brothers, there was no repentance there. But in Judah, yes, there was. I believe that is why the father, Jacob, when he chose a representative for his family, he chose Judah. I want him. Now, as they come together, they're here. Joseph, they still don't recognize me, man. They don't recognize me at all. There's one he hadn't seen yet. It's from the same mother as him. This is Benjamin. And he sees him, he goes in the other room, and he weeps, washes his face, gets himself all ready, comes back out. All right, let's eat. It's real interesting because Joseph tells the servant, the bodyguard, take one of my cups and put it in his bag. Okay. Finish the meal. Have a good trip home. He turns to go. The servant takes the cup, sneaks on over there to the bag. All right, see you guys. Hey, you, yeah, okay, talk. What do you think about the king? Yeah, talking about the top. Oh, look over there. They sat in the bag. Oh. All right, good to see you. Bye-bye. Why did the king do that? As they all start heading out, start going out. Joseph turns around and says, hey, you. Yes, sir. Go get him, bring him back. I want to catch that boy. Okay, good. Hey, soldiers, come on. We're going to come after him. We're going to ride after them. And they get around and they surround him. Imagine the 11 brothers as they're going out, getting surrounded by the king's soldiers. Oh no, we did nothing wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. No, there's nothing wrong. What's going on? They start with the oldest. They go. They say, what did you do? Who stole my cup? The servant knew it was in that bag. You, open up your bag. Sure, they open it up, and sure enough, there's the cup. He's guilty. And the brothers are all shocked, of course. If we go back, Dad's going to die. Joseph first and now Benjamin. We can't. The servant said, you guys go. He's going to stay here. He's guilty. You're not guilty. You can go. No, we can't. We need to have Benjamin. We need to have Benjamin. No. He's staying here. Brothers start getting together. What are we going to do? Imagine the hall of servants are there with Benjamin. The brothers come up. The soldiers are all alongside, ready. Ready to, anyone who tries to touch. You don't touch the king, ever. You touch the king, you're going to die. They're ready. Soldiers, bodyguards there, ready. Swords at the ready. Joseph comes down. Says, hey, Joseph, we're ready for you. All showing, he's got the kingly clothes on. You guys go, he's guilty, he's staying. In chapter 43 and 44, we see Judah step up. With all the military, everyone standing around, imagine what would happen. Joseph knew he could, as the king, he could have wiped them out. He could have taken their heads off. He tells them, hold on, go ahead. Judah steps up. Judah explains what's going on, the reasoning, Dad, he's already lost one son, blah, blah, blah. We don't want him to lose. We see in chapter 44, he didn't say die. He doesn't say, we don't know what happened to the other son. He gets down, he's explaining what's happening. He's going, what's happening? Going there and going back. He didn't want to bring Benjamin. Dad said, was upset that we had to bring in Benjamin, but finally brought Benjamin. Now you're trying to keep Benjamin. It's interesting now. He says, I was wrong. I'm guilty. It was because of my sin. But please, spare him. King, can I take his place? The last verse, chapter 44, says, chapter 44, verse 32, says, for thy servant I am become surety. Means I'll take his place. I promise. You can sign a contract, whatever. You know, like you buy a new car, you got to sign on the dotted line. You got to sign this contract. It's surety. I will sign this, contract, this agreement. I'll take his place for the lad. You say, you can take me, please, I'm begging you. And Judah bows down his head and says, take me. Then, all of that story, then we get to then, how we started. Get out! Everyone out. Soldiers out. The soldiers knew that he had stolen. But they obeyed the king. They all filed out of the hall. Joseph says, it's me. Joseph. And these guys belong away. 10 of these brothers they had faced their brother. They didn't even recognize him. Now, as they're in front of him, as the king, alone, without guards, no one in there. You notice people crying at the funeral of the queen, but the king themselves, straight-faced, they don't cry. They don't show that. Joseph, as he's holding it in, he can't hold it in any longer. He starts weeping. Verse 2 says, Joseph cried, he wept aloud. The Egyptians, house of Pharaoh here. What's going on? Imagine. The king is crying so loud, but they're all standing there going, I don't know what's going on in there. Imagine. People start hearing, what's happening? Hey, what's happening? Shh, shh, shh. Oh, keep it hush, hush. What's going on? Try to listen in. And Joseph, as he makes himself known to his brothers. Now, first thing I would say to you, oh, tell me about Dad. Is he all right? Tell me. How's Dad? Yeah, Dad's okay. Yeah. Dad's good. Okay, good. All right, well, again, tell me, sure, yes, true. Dad, he's all right. Yeah, he's alive. Yeah, uh-huh. He's good. He's well. He starts going down the line, hugging these brothers and give them clothes, and they start eating together. Now it's time to work. You guys go home. 5 more years, it's going to be bad. 2 years are bad. You're going to have to go get Dad. Tell Dad, the whole family, for a year. You're going to go do this. You're going to do it now. Their responsibility is to do this. Now, you and I, this song that he sang, he created this world. He made this world. And he made you. And he made me. You and I are connected. You and I have sinned. We've sinned against the King. Now, I don't know what you've done. I mean, you could have been alcoholic. I mean, one of the brothers, Dad, Joseph is alive. Joseph is alive. It's going to be hard for him to believe because he's been lied to. He's been lied to all these years. Why would he believe them now? Joseph is alive. He lied to me. You're going to have to face that sin. Judah, as he confessed his sin, what happened? Once he did that, there was forgiveness from God. Many people are holding on to sin in the past, but there's no confession. God's not going to bless that. He's not going to bless. He was in jail. He suffered for his sin. Maybe you don't know how your sin is suffering from other people's sin who are innocent. It's not fair. Yeah, it's not fair. Maybe it's not fair. People have said, it's not fair, it's not fair. It's all right. What's your attitude? What's your approach? Many people say, I'm dead. I can't do this. I can't do that. What? God made you the way that you are. If you obey God, God is here. He's here with us. He's the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. Many times, you and I will go to church. In the presence of the King, you're in the presence of the King. I'm guilty of it just as much as you are. But it's sad. The King knows each of you. The King knows your sin. If you read chapter 45, twice, 2 times, Joseph says, I am who you sold. He names it. He says, I am who you sold. But don't blame yourself. God meant it for good. God knew it would happen. God knew that He would put me here. God knew. Please. But don't forget, I've forgiven you. That's forgiven. The King has forgiven you. He said, go reach my Father. He doesn't know. He doesn't know I'm alive. Dad doesn't know that I'm now where I'm in, the position of leadership that I'm in. Dad doesn't know that I have all this food, resources. Dad doesn't know that family can be saved. Go. Go. Don't think about the past. Go. It's your responsibility now to go. Jesus died on the cross. People thought he was dead. Jesus rose. Now, Jesus has given you a responsibility as well to tell others that he is alive. I'm not dead. Jesus isn't dead. I'm alive. Go! Deaf, hearing, American, Australian, England, African, all the world, go! Tell them I'm alive. I have food, plenty, in heaven. I've got a home. But you have to go. You're going to have to go. As you go, do not hold on to your past sins. It's done. It's done. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. It's forgiven. Now go do it. Go do it. Let's pray. You are the King of Kings. You came from heaven to this earth for a short time. You were born King of Kings. You lived. Many people have sinned against you. Many people have hated you. The disciples were around you. Many times they forgot what you've done. And when people came to you, people left and ignored you. We're guilty of that. But you died on the cross to take away our sins. Lord, it blows my mind. My heart's full of sin. Take it and cast it before you. And you say, okay, I'll take it. Lord, we can have that salvation. And we can stand before you as our King. And at your command, we will go. Lord, forgive our sins. Maybe there are people here who need to look and realize they have yet to confess their sin. I pray, Lord, now that they'll seek the forgiveness that you have. Pray for Mark, Pastor Mark. Go to him and say, oh, please forgive me. Lord, maybe there are some who are like Judah. He didn't know who Joseph was, but he said, I don't know what happened, but I am the one to blame. Forgive me. Lord, I pray that you